I woke up an hour northeast of my pickup point, which was Henderson, Nevada. Overall, it wasn't too bad. I got an extra hour of sleep because of the time change, but I was still getting up earlier than I would have preferred and earlier than my alarm, which I had set for 7 a.m. I got up about 6:40 and went into the shop to use the bathroom and grab a snack. Then I started on the project of getting my van prepared for the pickup. I had envisioned the 50 boxes of dowels at 2 feet by 18 inches by 1 foot a piece, and I knew it would take up about the entire cargo area of my van. So the project was to move everything into the front and clear out the back as much as possible. I also wanted to have a neat presentation for when I arrived to pick up the boxes. The drive down to Henderson was relatively uneventful. It's pretty country, and it reminded me of when I first started doing this 1,778 days ago, because my first major cross-country trip brought me into the Las Vegas area. And oddly enough, I haven't been back there since. So this was, for some reason, somewhat nostalgic and reminiscent of a time that now feels long past. Even pulling into the neighborhood was reminiscent of one of my first pickups, which was a water purification system that was being returned to Daytona Beach, Florida, right where I lived at the time. So I got the 50 boxes of dowels picked up. It took less than half an hour to do the whole thing. And then I set out to take the pictures. This is a little glimpse into what that process looks like on U-Ship. Then I have the person on that end sign for it. In this case, she's the same person who will be meeting me in New York City when I drop these off. All that remains is to hook the trailer back up and get back on the road. I have about 11 hours of drive time ahead of me to get to Denver, Colorado. That's according to Google Maps, and in reality, it will take me longer because I am going below the speed limit. This really highlights how far the trip is from near Las Vegas, Henderson, Nevada, all the way over to New York City. Chopsticks are an invaluable tool on the road. They're one of the most convenient things to carry around and use to eat stuff. So I just grab them whenever I go into the deli section of most stores, which now thankfully carry sushi. It's not glamorous, but eating on the road is one of the realities of the work that I do. And you figure out how to make it happen in a way that is somewhat healthy and enjoyable, if at all possible. Grocery stores are underrated. It's so much better to make a quick stop at a grocery store that happens to be on the route than to only get your food at gas stations. The section of I-15 that heads through Arizona, just the corner of Arizona in between Nevada and Utah, is one of the most beautiful stretches of expressway anywhere in the United States. I tried to keep my filming to a minimum, both to save myself time later and because no matter how gorgeous it is, there's only so much of it that you probably want to view on YouTube. There's also only so much of it that I can voice over, as I'm struggling now to come up with anything more to say about this situation. So I'll jump forward to tonight. It's currently after midnight and I'm at a rest area 2 hours outside of Denver, Colorado, making my video. That's been a commitment of mine to make a video every day and to make it somewhat high quality. Part of that looks like just moderating the amount of footage that I take along the way so that I'm not wading through endless redundant footage. But when it comes to getting landscape shots, it seems that I always fall into that trap. My first major stop was at Love's, and I decided to take the chance to get a shot of just how full the van is with these 49 boxes of dolls. It had been listed as 50, but turned out to be 49. The van has also had the service engine light on, and one of the symptoms that I felt was that it seemed to be lugging, and it felt similar to when I'm riding a carbureted motorcycle and maybe the carbs need to be cleaned. Well, on this vehicle, the equivalent to the carbs are fuel injectors. So I decided to try out a fuel injector cleaning product. After I left Love's, I noticed that the amount of miles that I got on the first quarter tank seemed to be higher than it had been previously. So I theorized that the fuel injector cleaner had in fact done something positive, and I would know at my next stop when I calculated the results. I shut off maps because I figured I could remember the one turn I had to make off of 15 and onto 70, but I missed that turn and I ended up going through a different route. This is, I don't remember what, but it connected after I went too far north. This was the route that connected me back down to 70. And something very strange happened as a result of taking this route. When I came up and started getting close to 70, I saw signs for a town called Salida, or Salina. I think it was Salina, or Salina, however you pronounce it. And this seemed familiar. I tried to remember why, and finally I remembered that this was where my first truck that I ever bought for use with the business broke down. It blew a head gasket. And I ended up selling the truck in that town. And as I passed by that very spot where I had stayed at the Super 8 motel and sold the truck to somebody almost right next door, I couldn't help but wonder if the truck was still there. I almost impulsively turned to see, here it is. The truck would be just off to the left of this shot. I almost impulsively turned in to see, but it doesn't matter, and I didn't have time anyway. I didn't have a lot of time to spare. So I decided to continue to stay forward focused and just take it as a weird episode that happened along the way. As it began to get dark, I was still 400 miles from my destination of Denver, 7 hours away, and feeling a bit behind schedule. What would really help was if there was some good music, but the van doesn't even have a tape deck, and I figured it was unlikely to get anything up here in the mountains. But I thought I'd give it a shot anyway. I was positive that I was getting better gas mileage, and when I finally put it into the calculator, I got improved from 12.5 miles per gallon, 14.5, about 16% better. If there's one thing that I learned by driving in Colorado before with a car with a finicky headlight, it's that if I was to drive through Vail or Breckenridge, I probably would get pulled over if any of the lights on the trailer were no longer doing their job. And that was something I didn't want to deal with, so I pulled off at a rest area just prior to reaching Vail. And even there, as I took the exit, I saw 2 cops coming up on the roundabout at the end of the exit ramp. If I'd been just 30 seconds ahead of where I was when I took the exit, I would have had to pull in ahead of them or look extremely suspicious slowing down. But as it was, I was able to let them pass in front of me and turn into the roundabout behind them. When I got there and checked, it turned out that one of the lights at the rear was still functioning and the other one was not. Whether I would have gotten pulled over or not, I'm not entirely sure. But thankfully that was something I did not have to deal with, and instead I focused on removing the boxes from the van enough to make a space for myself to sleep for the night. You can see how tight the fit is here, and I promise you it's just as tight at the back end of the van. I cleared out 2 feet of space, enough to get a night's sleep, and moved the boxes to the trailer. Yesterday, I did a drop-off for a lovely couple in St. George, Utah, and they gifted me 2 moving blankets. I used them to wrap the boxes and then wrapped that with plastic to keep it safe from the elements and from potential theft. Not that I thought it was likely, but if it's all wrapped up as one unit, that becomes a lot harder. Now, one of my primary focuses is making sure the van stays running. And one of the fluid levels I noticed looked a little bit low was the coolant. Driving through Salina really made me start to think about this in an almost paranoid way, because the coolant level and the coolant quality had been an issue in the truck as well right before it blew up. And I didn't notice it until after it had a problem. So I got ready to add some coolant to the van preemptively. And I'll be honest, the coolant in the reservoir doesn't look all that good. So that's probably something that I should get flushed and replaced with completely new coolant as soon as I'm able to do so. The last thing to note for the day was that when I pulled in, it looked like there was only 1 truck parking space left. So I made the decision to pull all the way forward and leave room for someone to come in behind me, because I saw that there would be room for me to wiggle out to my left. Hopefully everyone has the situational awareness to leave that space, and there won't be any issue tomorrow morning when it comes time to leave.